This is Matt Thurber, Editor-in-Chief of AIN Media Group. And here with us today for the AINdebrief podcast is Cameron Gowans, President and COO of Four Corners Aviation, and Brian Proctor, CEO of Four Corners Aviation. We're here to learn more about what Four Corners Aviation is about and especially its new Freedom program. So, Brian, can you tell us a little bit about Four Corners and the Freedom program?
Sure, Matt. Well, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be on. Four Corners is an idea that we had several years ago and really came to us through our clients in conversations that we were having with them, specifically with Fortune 500 chief executives and members of the C-suites in those companies. And really the idea is that while CEOs absolutely need to have aircraft to help them run their business, in many ways, the last thing on the planet that they want to buy is an airplane. And when you look at the industry and how the industry is structured, it's focused around selling airplanes and operating them. And really what we found through many discussions at the C level is that those people want access to what the airplanes provide, which is safe, reliable, and customized transportation without some of the challenges that go along with aircraft ownership. And so what we've developed at Four Corners, and specifically the Freedom Program, is a way for those executives to access private aviation and at the same time have the benefits that they want without the problems that are associated necessarily with ownership. And so we're excited about it. We think that the program is going to be very well accepted, and we're anticipating a pretty high take rate. And so far, the conversations have been very positive. We've got several customers already in the program at different levels, and then we've got ongoing conversations with many more. So we're pretty excited about where we're at.
So, Cam, what Freedom is doing is something that you're calling corporate aviation as a service. Can you explain what that means?
There are many products out there that companies have chosen to outsource and treat as a service rather than owning and operating a product. And we're doing that with the corporate jet, with Freedom by Four Corners Aviation. We call it Freedom because we're essentially freeing the users of business aviation from all the associated hassles, administration, and uncertainties that go along with owning and operating an airplane. Essentially, they treat this like a service, which is exactly what they want, to go where they want, when they want, in the airplane that they want.
Let's talk about how corporate jet as a service compares to a traditional flight department where the company owns the aircraft but doesn't want to deal with the hassles of taking care of it and hiring crews and arranging for insurance, etc. Is this a more refined version of that, or how do you differentiate it?
Well, in one level, it's almost identical to a traditional flight department in that it's the same pilots, the same crews, the same facilities. And so it offers that truly personalized, customized level of service that corporate leaders come to expect from their own airplane. It doesn't change the way companies fly, it just changes the ownership. And so we remove the ownership component of the flight department and replace it with a service. And so, yes, pilots and mechanics and crew chiefs and all those associated individuals work for Four Corners, but they're still delivering that same level of service to the same people that they would in a traditional flight department. So, in many ways, it's closer to a flight department than it is a management operation. So, it is essentially replacing ownership with access.
So Cam, then the customer would get to fly with the same flight crew all the time, right? They get familiar with them and comfortable with them.
Correct. That's part of the personalization that goes along with the service.
But then who actually owns the aircraft?
The way that we've got the capital structure set up is that we would effectively be the beneficial owner of the aircraft. So we've got programs in place with several financing partners that would allow us to do that. And so the idea would be that from the user's perspective, that the aircraft is no longer on the balance sheet. This program is not set up like a lease, so that there's no lease reporting that's required today. And so it's a true services agreement. So we own and have control over the aircraft, and then we would also have the crews and all the operational components working for Four Corners. So it's a true service offering. It's not a blended ownership offering.
Okay, so let's clarify then. Uh, what's the regulatory structure under which the aircraft are operated? Would it be Part 135, just to keep things clear?
Absolutely correct. Yes. Anytime you separate the owner from the person paying for it, it becomes a commercial operation. So our aircraft will be operated under Part 135, and Four Corners Aviation is a Part 135 operator.
And so, are there benefits with freedom like there are with traditional management firms where Four Corners can obtain discounts on insurance and maintenance and things like that, since it's the aggregator of all these services?
Yeah, currently we have a fleet of airplanes that we already manage. They range from light to large cabin aircraft, and so we're already providing those types of discounts to our existing customers. And with the Freedom program, we're able to enroll our new clients in those same programs. So there will be net some efficiencies that are going to be gained that we can pass through to the client as part of the program.
How does it work as far as charging the customer? Do they have to sign like a long-term contract? Can they come in and come out on short terms?
In leasing, today you see most leases are 7 to 10 year leases. So the term on this would be shorter than that. If you look at the fractional world, most of the fractional companies are requiring 5 year contracts, and we're the same. We're going to require a 5 year contract. And then the way that the structure works is that there will be a monthly access charge for the client that would cover availability, so pilots and capital and insurance and other fixed costs. And then there's a variable component with some minor pass-throughs, and those minor pass-throughs are what you would see today traditionally. So, the things that we can control are going to be covered mostly through the monthly standing charge. The other, the utilization will be on an hourly usage program. Like fractional, we'll have a fuel surcharge, and then there'll be pass-throughs for incidentals.
And how would you uh, compare Freedom to other uh, either aircraft access or ownership options in terms of cost? For example, fractional, while convenient, comes at a fairly high price. Does Freedom compare favorably with those costs?
It depends. And when you look along the continuum, if someone's flying 50 hours, then Freedom would be pretty expensive on a per hour basis. But if you're flying above 200 hours, it makes a lot of sense. And from a pure comparative standpoint, it's going to be very similar to owning your own airplane and operating it.
And then would you also have the freedom to move between aircraft types as well?
Depending on how the client sets up the program. So, one of the benefits of what we're bringing forward into the Freedom program is the planning resources that we have at Freedom at Four Corners sister company, which is Mente Group. At Mente, we've been doing fleet planning for a long time, and we're able to build different delivery methods and then wrap them into the same contract for the client. So, for example, if a client needs a dedicated airplane or two or five, we can build that into the program. If they also need supplemental lift, either through fractional shares or charter or some of the card programs, we can build that in as well. So depending on what the client needs through the planning effort, what we identify, then we can build a structure that supports that over a 5-year period.
Matt, just as there's no two flight departments that are the same, there will be no two freedom agreements that will be the same because it is completely customized to what that client wants or needs. And so, as Brian said, some will include access to one airplane, some will include access to multiple airplanes, some will include access to one airplane based on a 300 hours a year, others 600 hours a year. So it truly is a tailored, personalized, customized product that reflects what the member wants or needs.
And with our planning capability at Mente, what we found is over a 5 to 7 year period, we are usually plus or minus 1 to 2% of the aggregate cost over that period of time. So our planning skill set is highly refined, and we're able to use that effectively as the brain to build the pricing model for Four Corners. And so we're leveraging that skill set that we've developed over years of experience, and we're applying that now to our clients. And so being able to be able to build blended solutions for the customer is really critical. And almost every aircraft owner, whether they understand it or not, has a blended solution, because inevitably an airplane is going to be down 2 to 4 to 8 weeks a year. And during those periods of time, you're going to need supplemental lift. And so we build that routinely into the program.
So, what's the plan for the customer service and relation aspect of this? I assume it's going to be a fairly robust system.
Yes, and then there's two ways of doing it. One is replicating what they had at their existing operation. So if they've got a system that they like and use, we can attach that into the Freedom program. Or if they don't have an existing operation, we've got the ability to support that through Four Corners, where we've got a robust client services team that can assist and deliver that service to the customer 24/7.
And what we see, Matt, is that we're somewhere at the crossroads between what a traditional management company would offer in terms of, focus in and around a 135 delivery method and the corporate flight department. So as we've built our leadership team, we feel like we've taken some of the best guys in the U.S. and brought them on board to be able to deliver both levels of service. One is really geared around compliance to a set of rules set by the FAA, which everybody has to follow, and even 91 or 135. But there's a certain way that you have to go about doing that. But then we also understand the nuances of how flight departments operate. And so some of the senior leaders in the group have run some of the biggest flight departments on the planet. And when we take those skill sets of traditional management with the corporate flight department expertise and blend those together, we're building a really unique delivery platform for our clients.
There's been a lot of consolidation in the Part 135 charter world, and some of the larger companies are snapping up a bunch of smaller charter operators because the charter business has just been booming. How do you see Four Corners being competitive versus these large consolidated charter outfits?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think that scale in this marketplace is a benefit, and I think that we are witnessing that, as you said, through the acquisitive nature of some of the bigger firms. I think in a lot of ways they have to kind of do that because the shareholders are going to demand a delivery at a certain level. I think that what we're doing is uniquely different, and that it presents a whole new delivery platform for the marketplace. And that's why we've branded this CJAS, because it really is corporate jets as a service. And I'm not going to say that we're ever going to get to the point of what NetJets did, but if you think about what Richard Santulli built starting in the 80s with NetJets and the way that they delivered it, we think that this could be a new delivery model, not unlike the fractional model that was developed 40 years ago.
And Matt, we are not building a charter service. We are delivering a very tailored, customized product that provides the corporate jet as a service. The only reason we are doing it through a 135 is to comply with the regulations. So don't think of Freedom as a charter product, because it's not.
So, Cam, do you see that traditional flight departments where a company owns an aircraft or multiple aircraft and hires the crew and owns a hangar and does everything itself, are these going by the wayside in favor of more non-traditional new options like Freedom?
Well, if you think of business in general, companies have focused on what they do well and have outsourced things that are not core to their business activities. So, transitioning a business function to a service function is what business is doing today. Think of payroll services, of 401k administration, of computer servers and networks, how those are now available today as a service. We are doing the exact same thing for aviation. So companies will still get the same level of personalization and service that they've come to expect, but it's no longer something that they have to own and administer. They've chosen to replace that ownership and the administration and the uncertainties that go along with it with a simple service agreement.
Interestingly, Matt, I think one of the things that's changed in the marketplace that we haven't really focused on in the industry is capitalization. And when I started in 2000, the most expensive airplane you could buy was about a $30 million G5. Today the most expensive airplane you can buy is a $72 million Global 7500. And when you think about what's going on with the capital structure, there, I don't think that we've created an efficiency model that really kind of delivers on that. So one of the clients that we're talking to, or prospects that we're talking to right now, has over $250 million of capital tied up in their aviation fleet. And we are able to provide an alternative to them about how to recapitalize aviation and not lose what they have grown accustomed to having with their flight department. So we don't feel like we compete with the flight department at all. We just feel like it's a different way to deliver the same level of service that's currently out there. So that's where we're focusing.
Freedom sounds like a very interesting program. Where can our listeners learn more about it?
Feel free to visit our website at fourcornersaviation.com.
Excellent. Well, Cam, Brian, thank you very much. It's very interesting to learn more about Freedom and Four Corners Aviation.
Thanks, Matt. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, Matt.